Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I love this song so much. It's such a fun birthday song.
Is perfect pick.
It's a good birthday song for a good, exciting episode for Dorinda's birthday. We are here recapping Real Housewives of New York, Season 7, Episode 8.
I think it's 8. It's called Birthday in the Berks.
Birthday in the Berks. Real Housewives of New York, Dorinda's birthday. Big, exciting episode. I'm your host, Lyndsey Wegner, and I am joined tonight by Fern Ronay.
Hi.
Fern, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at Fern Ronay, FernRonay.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Lyndsey Wegner. So, Fern, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was good. There was a lot of juicy bits to tear apart.
I feel like, too. I feel like everything kind of led to the next part, and there was, like, something that just kind of kept the episode really moving forward really well, and lots to talk about and discuss. And
Indeed.
Let's discuss Dorinda's beautiful home in the Berkshires.
Gorgeous home.
If I had to pick a favorite room, I would pick the living room with the purple couches.
Yes, I love that too.
It looked so comfortable and so plush and just so beautiful. And then the room with the blue reminded me of something you'd see in, like, the Queen's home in London.
Yes. It was when they were all dressed for dinner, I was like, it's so Downton Abbey.
It is. It was, and all the rooms were almost kind of eclectic, too, because there was the pinks and the purples and the blues and...
And now the walls weren't painted. They were all that, like, wood paneling. It was just beautiful.
Very, very, very beautiful home. And not to say that Heather's home wasn't beautiful, but obviously a very big difference, as even Ramona had said last year when they were pulling up to Heather's house. She's like, oh, is this the garage? Oh, Ramona.
I'll take either of them, by the way.
Yeah, I will gladly take Heather's home. And it was beautiful and modern and just beautiful as well. So, and I loved the kind of the history behind the home too.
Yes, that she told her dad, "I'm going to live in that house."
And then Richard bought it for her. Her late husband bought it for her, and like her dad was a mason, and like they would work in it's just the whole story behind it was.
Yeah, didn't she say her dad thought he was going to the house to fix the telephones, and she said, "No, you can walk through the front door. We bought it." So sweet,
so cute, such a good She said it from when she was younger, and then she got it when she was older.
There are good vibes in that house, I feel.
Good vibes. So we get Luann and Ramona driving together, which I was surprised about since the last time we saw them. They were kind of arguing it at each other's.
I think each of them would have been the last person they'd pick to drive to the Berkshires from New York City.
But they seemed fine.
Yeah.
Luann was like, well, we're fine. We'll work through it. And Kristen, Heather, and Carole driving up separately. And they're getting their room set up and checking everyone else's room up. And Ramona is talking to Kristen and Luann about Peter, her business partner at AOA. And is he a friend or are they dating? What do you think? What would you call what they're doing?
I don't know. I can't tell because she doesn't answer. But if I had to guess, because Kristen was right. You know, she talks about it and she's very, willing and open talking about, I have this guy, are we dating? And then they ask her questions and she gets all bashful. So who knows? I think she probably likes him and wants to see where it goes. But we find out later he's got some baggage.
He's got some history. I mean, and also, like we said, I don't know how long the drive is up from Manhattan to the Berkshires. It's obviously at least a couple hours.
Yeah, I went to school in Boston and it was 4 hours from New York. Okay. So, yeah.
So it's a good
chunk of time.
It's a little drive, so it is kind of a big deal to have your business partner or friend or date drive 2 hours to come see you. I would definitely consider that more of a date than just a friendly thing.
Yes. But at the same time, I mean, I guess he he's like, she's filming Real Housewives of New York. I'm trying to get a few restaurants off the ground. It would be nice to show my face. You know, he is a businessman. He's not an idiot.
He does talk about that later in the episode.
If she weren't on the show, would he have gone just for her? I don't know.
I hate thinking like that. I hate that side of kind of reality TV and doing that, and people, I mean, it's going to happen in any show. It's on The Bachelorette. It's on, you know, Survivor. These people becoming famous because of being on reality TV or wanting to further their careers. And I get it. It's a quick medium and it's a very easy platform to do
reach
it.
a lot of people.
But it really knocks any sort of genuine feelings kind of out the window. You just don't know if they, like Sonja's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Dominic, as we were talking this past few weeks about them dating. Is he really dating her because he likes her? Or is he dating her because it's a way for him to kind of get famous since he's a model?
Who knows? Hopefully their feelings are genuine. We never know.
Hopefully.
You know, could be.
Like to believe they're
I
genuine.
like to think so, too.
I do, too. We can be the hopeless romantics here. So then we've got Kristen and Ramona talking about John. Ramona kind of brings up what happened at Petrosian. She's calling it Petrosian. He's calling it they called it Petrosian. I'm not sure which one it is. But they're talking about how at the party, Kristen was saying he made her uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that we all kind of saw that. We saw that Sonja was a little bit more open to it, was kind of having fun with it. But that's Sonja. She's much more flirty. Kristen, like she said, her husband was there.
Yeah. Yeah. It shouldn't, you know, like if you're going to do it with your husband standing there, you know, it shouldn't matter.
No.
Right? Like, it shouldn't matter. You should, if you're going to do something with or without your spouse, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I know what you're trying. Yes.
What I'm
Explain
trying
to the viewers and listeners.
What I'm trying to say is, if you wouldn't do it with your spouse standing there, then you shouldn't do it.
Be doing it at all.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Agreed. You don't want to be.
So, I mean, it wasn't like they were joking around. They were just kidding. It wasn't like she was making out with him. He seems like a fun, jovial guy. He was just joking around. Sonja knew he was joking around. And then she said it made her uncomfortable. Okay, maybe after a few minutes it got a little weird and it made her uncomfortable. That's fine. But her husband being there is neither here nor there. So that argument I don't buy. But she, you know, okay, so it made her uncomfortable. All right, what are you trying to say? You think he's cheating on Dorinda? Like, what's the point of this?
Maybe she's just kind of calling him out, saying that, like, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of his if he's being flirtatious with all these women in front of his girlfriend.
Right.
And once again, like you said, if you wouldn't do it in front of your girlfriend, you shouldn't be doing it at all, or your boyfriend or your significant other.
Thank you.
Whatever it is. You shouldn't be doing
Thank you
it at all.
for getting me.
I got you, girlfriend. You shouldn't be doing it at all.
Right.
So, I mean, in all...
It's his personality, I think.
It is just his personality.
Like, Dorinda was there, and it was
okay with
neither
it.
here nor there. Exactly. Like, he does, you know, he's like a big, jovial kind of guy.
Which is why when Dorinda walks in and goes, okay, you guys are talking about me.
Yeah.
She's upset because Kristen said it made her uncomfortable. And I don't think, as Dorinda said, she didn't feel uncomfortable until Kristen said it made her feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Then she felt, okay, wait, that made you feel uncomfortable. That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And that makes me look like an ass because my boyfriend was sitting there doing something that made you feel uncomfortable when you could have approached me about it right away or just pulled away right away.
What was so upsetting, I think, to Dorinda was that not that what was happening, because it was like, obviously, you know, joking around. What's upsetting to her is that these people are talking about him and she loves him. Like, don't embarrass me and talk behind my back about this guy who is making me happy. Because before this episode, I was like, I don't know, see them as a real match. I don't think they're matched intellectually. I don't think they're matched interest-wise. But when she said, he's here for me, I've cried about Richard in this home, and he's comforted her, I kind of switched my feelings for John. I'm like, maybe we all just see a sliver of him. He gets painted in a bad light in these few minutes that we see him, and we don't get the whole picture that he is such a comfort to Dorinda, who didn't expect to be a widow at 50. So this episode kind of flipped me on John a little.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'll flip back, but this episode I'm flipped because I really think he's probably good for her based on what she said. It convinced me. And I think she's like, don't talk about this guy. It's embarrassing that you're like insinuating he doesn't love me, he's cheating on me, he's flirting with other girls. He's been really good to me.
Well, and a lot of the times these women or the people on reality shows say it's editing, I'm not really like that and whatnot. And we do only see, once they put you in the show and they kind of get a feel for your personality, they paint that then. And that and that may be your truth, but it may be all of a sudden what they're looking for to continue with the season.
Exactly.
Kind of like when Alexis was here, I think our first week or second week when we filmed, and had said Brooks, Vicky's boyfriend, was actually the sweetest, most genuine, wonderful person and has apologized to, Vicky's whole family and stuff. In all honesty, when I see him on the show and everything we've heard about him, he looks like such a jerk.
Such a jerk.
He just not completely genuine. And then there are times where I'm like, okay, well, he really cares about Vicky. Mm-hmm. But hearing Alexis say this is years later now, obviously he probably is a good guy. And if he's been around Vicky this long, there's obviously a reason. Right. So if Dorinda and John really are together, and I agree with you, I don't think they completely match, and their arguments are just kind of stupid. And I felt like she was kind of picking on him about stupid stuff, and he was kind of pushing her to do that. Not good. But this, seeing and hearing her say he was so supportive, was exactly what. That's why their relationship works, and that's all that matters. It's it's the two of them. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. That's such a good point about Brooks, because I saw him in one light, and they've been together this long. It must be working. She's not Vicky's not stupid.
No, Vicky's a strong-willed woman. She's gonna tell you. Yeah. I just watched the episode where Tamara gets in Vicky's face. It was on Bravo today, replaying, where she gets in her face and she's like, "You didn't go with Brooks," and Vicky stands up in the table. It's crazy. Okay, anyway, let's get back to Real Housewives of New York, since we are talking about that show.
Before...
Yes, absolutely. Jump into that.
Really quickly. We are conducting a survey over the next couple of weeks on podcast1.com. It'll just take 3 minutes to complete the survey, but you can tell us what we're doing that's working, what we're doing that's not working, and it'll be very appreciated and very useful to us. And it only takes 3 minutes tops. It's the listener survey at podcast1.com. That's one spelled out ONE, podcast1.com. Listener survey. If you could take it, that would be great, and we would be so appreciative.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys also for tweeting us, commenting on YouTube and iTunes, liking our Instagrams and Facebooks and everything else. We do appreciate that. We love talking to you. If you guys are on iTunes, make sure and rate us 5 stars. We appreciate that support as well. 5 ones. All right. So Heather comes in to kind of find out what's going on because it's getting kind of loud in there. And Dorinda's talking about how, she celebrated her 40th birthday with Richard, and now she's a widow. And now here she is celebrating her 50th with John. And this is the 3rd. And she feels like this is all kind of coming together as one. And that's when Kristen started to, get upset for her. And I think anyone would feel for her in this
completely
situation. She didn't plan on any of this happening.
No. Horrible tragedies.
You can never prepare for that. So going through a birthday is always kind of difficult, and mine's coming up, and my mom's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't really want to talk about it. Not really looking forward to it." You just don't. Yeah. After you turn 21, I feel like there's really nothing that we can seriously look forward to. Well, we
God, I was a crying mess on my 30th birthday.
Me too. I freaked out.
But then it gets better.
But it does get better. Growing up is good.
But I can understand, I was going through a lot of stuff at that time, and I can understand Dorinda having experienced what she experienced. I'm turning 50, the big 50. That he's here for her, I'm grateful for that for her.
Me too. Really, really, really good to see. So then we see Heather, Luann, and Dorinda, and Heather is asking about Mario and Ramona because they're driving over to the Red Line Inn for dinner. And she's kind of asking about Mario and Ramona because what the heck is going on between the two of them? As we saw last episode, she had dropped food off to Mario, and then they were talking, and we see in the previews later on her confronting Avery, talking to Avery about Mario. So something's clearly going on, and we also get Mario linked later in this episode as well to another person. And no one really knows because Ramona's so kind of like, oh, it is what it is. That's that.
It seems like it was probably towards the end. You know how towards the end of a relationship, you don't know what, you break up and then you get back together, you break up. It was like the ending breaks before the final break. And I think that's when this was taking place.
Yes. Absolutely. So they arrive at the red line, and all of them there. And Heather says this is where her and John got engaged. Her and Jonathan got engaged. Super cute. A lot of them have kind of some memories back from the Berkshires and at this inn, which is really, really cute. And as we're there, the women are all kind of talking about Bethenny and Bethenny not being there. And Luann said she had talked to her at Noelle's or Victoria's art show. They kind of had a conversation, and Carole brings up her conversation with her in the furniture store and how she kind of cried and stuff. And Ramona brings up that Bethenny doesn't really have any girlfriends. All the people around her are her stylists, her makeup artists, her assistants. They're not really her girlfriends. It's kind of true. We did see 2 episodes ago her with her friend, I believe it's Tracy.
Yeah.
She has I think a couple close girlfriends, but maybe they're not in New York.
And wasn't Ramona saying at one point in the episode, I always had guy friends? I was always friends with guys. She said that earlier. Yeah. So, okay. If she...
And then
it's not a friend competition anyway. The flashback was great, though. Remember them walking over the Brooklyn Bridge
and saying, like,
so
and you'll
harsh.
probably mess up with Jason, too. Well, it was true, but I don't necessarily know that was Bethenny's fault. It takes 2 for that situation. And, they're kind of saying that Bethenny really had a bad childhood, so that's why she's so tough. And I think we kind of get these excuses with people in our lives, with people on shows saying that they had a really tough time with their childhood, with growing up and with their family and stuff. Or throughout their lives. You have to move past it and get past it. Like, that's not something that you can sit here and use as an excuse.
Yeah. It's not. Like, your childhood, good or bad, it's over. You have to work things out, of course, but it's never an excuse to be mean to other human beings. And I think, why were they saying... because they were giving, like, an excuse as to why she's never around or she's hard to connect to?
I think that's what they were trying to say, but the thing is... Bethenny isn't bringing up her childhood with them.
Right.
She brings it up with her therapist.
Exactly.
She may bring it up with,
that's true.
Tracy, but she didn't even bring it up with Carole. She brought up that she was worried about Bryn and stuff like that. So she's not really blaming her childhood on who she is.
No.
So there was technically no need for her.
No.
I think they were trying to justify her actions with the group and why she's not maybe... so
connecting.
Open to meeting Kristen and Heather and getting to know them as well because they are new to her.
Right.
It may take her a while to take down that wall and trust and stuff, and that's understandable.
Right.
A lot of people are like that. I get that. And Kristen goes and says, well, was she crying real tears or were they crocodile tears? Because Ramona, her and her crocodile tears...
Oh my God! You can't like dig someone and then be like, drop it.
Yeah.
Like if I were Ramona, I would be pissed. I'd be like, what are you saying? Anyway, but they moved on.
They moved on from it
then
quickly.
And then Heather brought up, I didn't get the nanny. I don't understand. Like, did the nanny die? Like they were really close and she died?
She lost the nanny. The nanny left.
Okay.
She was done.
Okay.
She
didn't die.
No. As far as I can
I
tell,
don't know.
I don't think
like unless it was something tragic, I did not understand it.
Well, then why wouldn't you just replace the nanny?
I don't understand what she was talking about.
I
and
don't
they didn't really.
They didn't go into it, except that they kind of said that, is she really comparing losing a nanny to Bethenny's bad childhood?
I hope not. But then they were kind of all comparing tragedies because then Dorinda and Carole, who are both widows, were like, no, it's getting up in the morning is the hard part. Like they don't want to hear platitudes. So you know what? Everyone's been through stuff in their life. If you're trying to be a good person, that's all that matters.
And I think Heather even said that. She's like, Carole's going through something. Ramona's going through something.
Yeah.
You're all going through something.
Yeah. It's not a competition.
At some point. It's not a competition about that. Everyone's going through something. Everyone's got stuff going on in their lives. It's how you handle it and move past it.
Exactly.
And I think she's just kind of at odds with Bethenny and trying to make their friendship work. And she just got to kind of let it go.
Yeah.
So the next morning, Sonja arrives, and they're kind of picking on her outfit, which I didn't think there was anything wrong with.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
But Heather and Ramona have matching leopard print vests.
I love it.
Super cute. And so they all decide to go out to the town and go shopping. And Ramona approaches Luann about the dinner, which I think was good. And she actually kind of tells Luann that Luann was the one who brought this up. She shouldn't have brought it up. It was poor timing. And Luann actually agrees with her. What did you think about this whole scene?
I was like, okay, this is how you should handle it in real life. It's not good for TV, but it's great.
There was no drama. It was the most... Exactly. This makes for horrible Real Houses of New York TV.
Right.
Bravo Andy's like, what's going on here? They're not fighting.
Exactly.
But that is how it should be handled.
Yes.
It should be handled really simply and easily. You you talk to your friend about it, you work through it, you apologize, forgive and forget, and move on. So I appreciated that. It was a nice, quick little scene.
Yeah.
Much to say because there was no drama in it. So we're prepping for the birthday dinner that night. And John, Dorinda's boyfriend, has arrived. He's brought wine. He got lost. Apparently he gets lost a lot. Jonathan arrives. Heather's husband, Josh. Kristen's husband arrives. Everyone's getting there. John and Mark, Dorinda's brother and brother-in-law. And then we see Bethenny.
Oh, my God.
Surprising everyone.
Yeah.
So exciting.
So exciting.
I was so happy to see that.
Me too.
I really was.
It was very cool of her.
Which proves she is kind of taking Luann's advice.
Yeah.
And trying to make herself a part of the
And it
group.
wasn't an easy effort. She had to bring her childcare, stay in a hotel. It was huge for her.
But it's not the end of the world though either. Like she said, she made a game. She made a game of it with Bryn, and it wasn't all that.
Right.
And then we obviously find out that Heather brought her kids too.
Right. Heather was so flustered when
Bethenny showed up.
She said congratulations to her, and then she's like, I don't know why I said congratulations. She was so flustered by her. It was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. She gets nervous around her.
Yeah. And I think Heather would probably say, well, look at how she hasn't let me in all of these times I've tried to become friends with her. So, of course, I'm nervous around her. And it was awkward. She shocked everyone. But it made me feel bad for Heather.
Well, yeah, because I just think she just kind of needs to let it happen.
Yeah. At the dinner, I didn't feel bad for her. But in that moment,
I felt bad for her because she just needs to let it happen and everything will work out. But she was clearly nervous and flustered and with her being there and surprised. And Bethenny said, well, that was the point. It was a surprise. I was trying to... I don't like surprises, but I like surprising people.
Right.
So... yeah. So Dorinda's excited about Bethenny being there.
Yeah.
Heather was nervous. We get to a little scene between Luann and Carole, who are hanging out before they go down to the party. Carole is
they both
dressed.
Looked awesome.
I loved Carole's outfit.
Oh my God.
Morticia Adams or not, I loved it. She rocked that outfit with the belt and then the skirt and the low cut top and
gorgeous. Even
Luann in her little countess
outfit.
It. Like
she
was
looked
very
like a countess.
Fun and different.
Yes.
They're discussing that Carole has looked up Peter, Ramona's friend,
which
online.
I actually mentioned this episode
weeks
1.
ago. Yes, she had said this Peter guy. We've already heard about him. She had looked it up, and so we already knew. I think she had said it on air that Peter actually was dating or hanging out with Mario's mistress that Mario left Ramona for.
So weird. So he got Mario's seconds? Like
or maybe it was before. I don't know. I don't know if Mario was still with that girl or not.
Oh, yeah.
But if it was
Either
before,
way.
if it was after, but then why on earth would Ramona date somebody that dated the girl that Mario left her for?
Weird. I don't know. Weird and twisted. Maybe she's trying to prove like I could get this guy too. I'm in the same. I don't know. It's just weird and twisted and never. Yeah.
No.
But odd that she's in business with him. Like, do they all know each other? I don't know.
Or did she not know this?
I don't know. Yeah, she might.
Maybe she didn't know this at the time. God, I feel bad for her when she had to find that out.
And it was ironic because Carole and Luann were at odds over Carole dating the niece's
I thought when she
boyfriend.
brought that computer in there, she was going to start talking about Adam, and I was like, oh gosh, here we go. It's going to start a fight because she's going to be Skyping with Adam in Nicaragua, and Luann's going to be right there, and she's like, hey, that's my niece in the background.
Right.
Because he's in Nicaragua with her niece. They're on some trip. So I was worried that was the thing. Kind of glad that wasn't the situation, that it was the Ramona thing. But as we see them getting ready for the party, it's obviously a very fancy, glamorous party. All their outfits are very, very different.
Yes.
No one's really dressed similar. It's all kind of
eclectic.
Eclectic. It's a great word. And Bethenny admits that she's allergic to fish. She can eat shellfish, but she's allergic to fish or only eats shellfish. And Dorinda has had this amazing sushi chef come in. So Bethenny's like, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I'll see if I can eat it or not. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And Heather immediately goes to help and says, oh, the meatballs are good. And Dorinda says, well, we have hummus. And she's like, no, I'm fine. Bethenny's saying she's fine. And we get more of Heather kind of pushing.
Right. And pushing. Yeah. Yeah, it was so awkward. It's like you and I were like, let her come to you. Like, play hard to get. It's ridiculous. You're trying too hard. She was pushing, but on this, no one's perfect. And I don't think I ever heard Bethenny, unless they cut it out, just be like, thank you. Like to look Heather in the eye and be like, I know you're trying to be nice. She could say it with your eyes and just be like, thank you. Like, I'm good. I think that might have stopped it, but she never did that.
Here's my issue with what Heather was doing. It was that she's not the host. Dorinda's the host of the party.
Completely.
So Heather, don't even worry about it. You just enjoy your sushi and your sake and the fact that your husband's right next to you. Like, and I know she does. She loves Jonathan so very much. Just let it go. Let Bethenny handle it, or let Dorinda take care of it then, because it is her party.
Right.
I also get sometimes, maybe if it was Ramona stepping in and going, Dorinda, I want you to celebrate your birthday. I'll talk to the sushi chef and see what we can figure out. Someone else goes to do it that's friends with Dorinda, so Dorinda can also enjoy her party. Heather just wasn't the person to do it.
She was focusing totally on Bethenny and saying,
just pushing her, and like we both said, just let it go. Let her come to you. Just give her a chance.
Yes.
But then Bethenny's making these comments about, she's saying, I love you, I love
What
you, I love
was
you, I love
that?
you, to all of her drinks in front of her.
I was so confused.
And then talking if she should stab him with his butter knife and should it be fast or slow. And I get that she was trying to make a conversation with the people around her if it was uncomfortable. But then we also have the conversation where they're interrogating Peter going on at the same time.
Right. And it seemed like he was trying to explain his business, and it seemed like it was happening at the same time, which was totally rude.
Yes and no. It's also a 20-person table or whatever.
Right, that's what Bethenny said, yeah.
So it's like, I can have the conversation with the person sitting next to me. I'm not talking over the thing. It didn't look like...
It seemed like they were being loud and obnoxious, and everyone was kind of looking at them. But I don't know, because of editing. Who knows what really happened?
What was really going on. It would be rude if they were talking over everybody and trying to cause a scene like that. And I'm sure the Peter situation, as Bethenny has said in the past, it doesn't interest me. So therefore, I don't care about it.
I don't care about learning about who this new person is.
But Peter's kind of getting the third degree.
Oh, yeah.
I almost said fifth degree.
Yeah.
He's getting
it was deeper than the third degree.
It was deeper than the third degree. He was getting the third degree from the woman about, what's going on with his business. And I was cringing
for Ramona. She brings this new guy. Just be nice to him.
Well, at the same time, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, because if a man can't handle that or a woman can't handle that, then maybe they're not the right person for you.
Yeah.
Not to an extent.
Yeah.
I think if did they bring up the Mario situation to him?
Well, they said we Googled you, so he probably knows.
He probably knows,
what's
but
out
they
there.
actually just talked to him about business stuff, which
Right.
that is that's his life, his
Right.
business and opening restaurants and stuff. So having that conversation and asking him about them, I didn't
It's
think that
getting
there was,
to know him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with that, and maybe they pushed
it started
a little
out
bit.
uncomfortable.
It
but
started
yeah.
out uncomfortable, and he said it himself. He's like, I told the driver to keep the car running. So he made light of it, and if that was my boyfriend, I would be very impressed. I would be like, you handled that really, really well.
Right.
You did well. Meanwhile, the Bethenny conversation's going on. I don't know if she's drunk. I don't know what's going on. And then calls her out for talking.
And she calls her out, and she was serious. And then Bethenny bites back, and she says, I'm only joking. Don't say you weren't joking. You were serious. You thought they were being rude. Just own it. You thought they were being rude. She seems to be intimidated by Bethenny, and she should not be.
No.
She should not be. No one is any better than anyone else. She should not be, but she is.
But Bethenny's a little scary at times.
Yeah.
As
she
I think
back.
it was Luann said, or Carole said, there's two sides to Bethenny. I think maybe it was Carole. Wound really tight and crying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she is a little
and
scary.
Luann said, don't touch Bethenny when she's like this. Yeah.
And confrontational at times. So, but Heather is a pusher in that. Mm-hmm. And I think Heather's just only trying to make their friendship work, but she's just trying too hard.
Too hard.
It's too hard and it's too much. And, they're telling her kind of to back off of Bethenny, and Bethenny says, you're trying to tend to me.
Yes.
I don't like that you're tending to me.
Right.
Just let me do my thing. It'll be fine. I'll work it out. And then we see Bethenny start to cry because she's just feeling, I think at that point you just feel overwhelmed because now everyone's paying attention to you.
Right.
And the fact that you're the only person that's not going to eat the food in front of you. And so you literally feel overwhelmed because everyone's like,
yeah.
So she starts to cry. And what does Heather do?
Oh my God.
The worst thing in the world.
She gets up and takes her hand, come, like, we'll talk privately. I think in that moment, Heather was like, I finally broke through. She and I are going to really connect in the other room privately. Did not happen. Wasn't going to happen. Sorry. Oh, Heather, you don't need Bethenny. Like,
no,
you don't
you're
need
so fine and cool on your own and awesome that you don't need to be friends with her. They're so different too.
Right.
Like,
and maybe they would be friends later on. Maybe they will be. Maybe they'll find a common ground. But she's pushing too hard right now.
The more she pushes, the further away Bethenny is going to run from her.
Right, like
she's smothering her.
Yes, yeah, it's
like a girl and a boy dating at the beginning, and one
eat
of
the
them
meatballs.
is,
You're being rude while I was talking. Like, enough.
Yeah, just and then we see Heather get upset. And she's like, I'm just trying to help. Like, I don't understand this. I'm just trying to help, and she's not like taking my help.
I know.
And I wish that Jonathan would have just held her and said, "Hey, just sit here. We're good."
Her cutie husband and
and then we get it to be continued.
It's a good episode.
It was a good episode. Not too much drama.
No, and Dorinda actually made a good point too. She made a good observation that Heather goes from teacher to preacher. True, and Bethenny wants to figure it out on her own, which are two very good observations.
Bethenny is very, very much like a guy. The way she handles situations. Most guys don't want to be told what to do. Figure it out on their own. You could have been telling them the whole way along that, hey, if you go touch that burner, you're going to get burned. And they'll be like, well, I'm going to figure it out on my own. And then touch it and then go, oh, that hurt. Well, I should have listened to you. Yeah. She's kind of like a guy in that way, that she just needs to figure it out on her own. And that's why Heather just needs to pull back, because the more she pulls back, Bethenny will, I think, try and go, hey, Heather, why don't you come to this? Let's do this together. Right. And maybe they're not going to be best friends right away, but they'll get to know each other. And the more of it Heather just kind of lets Bethenny take the reins on this, the more of it she'll get along with Heather or Bethenny. But that's not Heather. That's not the way she is. And Heather shouldn't have to compromise who she is for anyone else either.
Right.
Heather's a gung-ho person. She's all in. She's not going to have anything. She's going to go all in. So she shouldn't have to compromise who she is as a person to appease somebody else either. But when you're arguing with someone, you almost have to kind of go, all right, that's it.
Yeah, and like, it's not compromising who you are to just read a person and read that you're not vibing, and maybe give her a little space, and then you'll get to know each other. You have a lot in common. You both have kids. You both run successful businesses. So, just step back and let her come to you.
We can only hope that happens sometime this season. So next week we see the drama continuing between Heather and Bethenny in the Berkshires, and Ramona talking to Avery about Mario and saying that he's trying to kind of make his way back in, and has Avery heard anything? And she's like, I don't really ask any questions. And Ramona replies that that's a smart choice to make. And we have Luann approaching Bethenny, and them kind of saying that Luann has poor delivery.
Yeah, she's like, you don't like
the way I say things. Yeah. And we also have Kristen and Bethenny. Kristen approaching Bethenny and saying, so I'm dumb?
Right.
So apparently Bethenny had said earlier in the season that Kristen was dumb, and now Kristen's approaching her about it. So Bethenny's kind of getting from all angles. So let's get into some predictions for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Next week, we should have Ashley and Megan back. Megan's spending some time with her family, and Ashley was at an audition. We look forward to having you ladies back in the studio with us. What are your predictions for next week?
I want to know what Luann delivered to Bethenny in this pretty package, but without pretty information. I can't imagine what it was. Maybe Luann was like, you were right for taking my advice and making more of an effort. I don't know.
I feel like they were getting along since she went to the art show.
Yeah.
And so
I can't even imagine what this beef is.
I wonder if this has something to do with the situation with Dorinda and Ramona. And maybe Bethenny hearing about this and saying, see, your delivery was wrong.
Maybe.
But I feel like she shouldn't have to approach her about that. So it's got to be something she said to Bethenny or...
Yeah. Probably about something that happened in the Berkshires.
Something that happened there. Continuation. Any other predictions?
Not really.
I don't really have any predictions. I certainly don't think that Mario and Ramona are going to end up back together.
I predict they do not.
Yeah. But I think I always love seeing Avery. It's nice to see the kids in these shows because they've grown up before our eyes. This is 7 seasons. Avery was 11 years old when we first met her, I believe, and now she's 18.
And she goes to UVA, really good school. They've
yeah.
all done okay.
Really, really well. So it's nice to see the kids sometimes, since we don't get to see them very often. So I predict that Bethenny is going to be on edge this next episode because she's just getting it or giving it from everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's some sort of comedic relief thanks to Carole and Sonja.
Yeah.
Because
thank God for Sonja.
There wasn't even much about Sonja.
No. But when she was prancing around for John.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about the fact that she was in Dorinda's room in her like lingerie before the party because she forgot a dress and she's like, you can touch me.
Oh
Sorry
my
guys, we forgot to talk
God.
about that. That was kind of a big deal.
She's so people ask her about her businesses and we don't get these concrete answers and it's hard to nail things down, but I would love to hang out with her. I would love to spend the day with her. I think she is a riot. She has such a fun energy.
We had her on the phone as she called in last year, and she was just amazing. She was actually getting some natural nose job done.
I love it.
At the time, she was waiting at the doctor's office. She's great. She's such a sweet, genuine, but she's spacey.
Yeah, she's
just
awesome.
cute. She's just a cute woman. I would totally want her to be my crazy aunt.
I was so glad she was sitting next to Bethenny. I was like, that's a good match. Let her she's gonna have fun with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, their relationship I think is going to continue to flourish this year, and Bethany's going to kind of be on Team Sonja, so that's nice to see.
Yeah.
Well, since we have no other predictions, Fern, where can the good people find you if they want to talk to you?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fern Ronay, FERNRONAY. And thank you to everyone who voted for my husband's commercial, Shit My Pants. I think the results come out tomorrow. But even if he didn't win, Shit My Pants didn't win, thank you for voting. To everyone who voted, that meant so much to me and to him.
I went and watched it again. It was amazing. I was like, yes, check.
Thank you.
You guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lyndsey Wegner. That's LYNDSEYWEGNER. Or my blog, lyndsey.wegner.blogspot.com. My show, Thenardier's Inn, opens up this Saturday at 3 clubs for the Fringe Festival. So if anyone's interested in coming, you can either message me on one of the social medias or find any information at www.cacstudios.com to get tickets. We are sold out for the first 2 weeks already. So would love to see some of you guys there. And we will see you.
And don't forget to vote listener survey at podcast1.com.
Thank you. Podcast1.com, spelled out 1. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.